Ohio has produced some of the greatest football players the NFL has ever seen. Legends, Hall of Famers, and Super Bowl champions. But what if we built an entire NFL team only using players born in the state of Ohio? Today, got my nice little shirt on, and I will be building an entire 53-man roster from Ohio-born players only. I put together, you see a depth chart right here of an empty roster. So let's get into it with the most important position on the football field, the quarterback. There's really only two quarterbacks born in the state of Ohio that could be the starter for our team. And the guy I'm going to go with is one of the greatest QBs to ever play the sport. 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champ, member of D-Generation X, briefly, Ben Roethlisberger. 5th all-time in passing yards, 8th in passing touchdowns, and 53 game-winning drives. So from Lima, Ohio, Big Ben is going to be our quarterback for the All-Ohio team. For our backup, we're only going to carry 2 quarterbacks on this roster, and it is Russell Wilson. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, he's a 10-time Pro Bowler, 1-time Super Bowl champ, and 4th in NFL history when it comes to touchdown to interception ratio, only behind Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. I'm giving the slight edge to Big Ben here. You guys let me know who you would rather have at the quarterback position, Roethlisberger or Wilson. Then we'll move on to the running back position. And this is where I'm going to have a guy from Reynoldsburg, Ohio, a guy that was a 2-star recruit in high school, ranked 211th in the nation as a running back, none other than Le'Veon Bell. For a period of time, Le'Veon was one of the best running backs in the NFL and shifted how the running back position was played. When it comes to patience at the running back position, you think Le'Veon Bell looking for the hole and running right through it when it opens. In 2016, that is when he broke the Pittsburgh Steelers record for the most rushing yards in a single game with 236. And in that same season, in the postseason, he broke the postseason rushing record in a game with 167. That was against Miami. In the next following week in the postseason, he broke it again with 170 yards, back-to-back games, record-breaking games. Le'Veon, in his prime, one of the best running backs to ever see the football field. Now, we're going to run with 3 running backs on this roster, and it was pretty tough for me to get this next 3. But at number 2, I'm going to go with Robert Smith out of Euclid, Ohio. Robert Smith from the Vikings might have retired at his peak. One of the smartest players to play the position on and off the field. The 2-time Pro Bowler was one of the most prolific running back in the 1990s. Some media were even saying that he was too smart for his own good. Had a little bit of injury history throughout his career, but when he was on the field, he was a huge impact with Chris Carter and Randy Moss both being on the same team. Smith was still one of the go-to guys in that offense. And at number 3, I'm going to give you a couple of guys that I left off the list. Barely missing it, Keith Byers, maybe David Montgomery, and Kareem Hunt. Those were probably the next guys after our 3rd string running back, and that is going to be Larry Zonka, a Hall of Famer. He's 6'3", 235. Larry was a bruiser, and he even won a Super Bowl MVP. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the man from Stowe, Ohio, but I will say he can play our fullback position because that's what he played, and he's going to be, when we get to the goal line, the guy to go to. Next, we're going to go to wide receivers. From Troy, Ohio, our number 1 wide receiver is going to be Chris Carter. 2nd all-time in receptions and receiving touchdowns at the time of his retirement. 1,101 receptions for 13,899 yards. And that's not including his 130 touchdowns he had as well throughout his career. Chris Carter is our number 1 guy. Now, I'm going to be real. After Chris Carter, I got a little shaky at the wide receiver position. So there's some players I might have left off the list. And I will say right here, right now, I prefer more new-gen players, more recent players than I did players from the 50s or 60s, even if they had Hall of Fame careers. Because we were building a team to play in today's NFL. At number 2, from Blair, Ohio, I'm going to go Joey Galloway, the speedster. Never really had a true quarterback throughout his entire NFL career, especially with Seattle early on. And I will say, 22 of his 83 total touchdowns came from 50 yards or more. So he was a playmaker when it came to being the guy. And to me, Joey is just the perfect number 2 to go with Chris Carter. And number 3, There could have been multiple guys here, but I took Terry Glenn from Columbus, Ohio. He's a one-time Pro Bowler. In his rookie season, he had 90 receptions, and that at the time was the most ever in a single season by a rookie, and second most in franchise history at the time. Terry Glenn, another fast, good wide receiver for the Patriots. Coach Parcells might call Terry a she, but I'll call Terry my number 3. Then we're going to go to a guy that is from Dayton, Ohio. Our wide receiver number 4, he's going to get some PT because all these guys are going to be good. We're going to go with Darrell Jackson, 3-time Pro Bowler, 3 1,000-yard seasons, 51 total touchdowns, and in Super Bowl 50, Jackson tied the record for the most receptions made in the first quarter in a Super Bowl with 5, tying former Buffalo Bills wide receiver Andre Reed. Although they lost that Super Bowl, he will now be teammates with the quarterback he faced in that Super Bowl, Big Ben. Then we're going to move on to 2 more of our wide receivers. We're going to have a total of 6. And I will say these next 2 guys are mainly going to be returners. First guy I'm going to take is Ted Ginn Jr. from Cleveland, Ohio, a player that might not have reached his full potential or thought of as a bust in some people's eyes, but he was one of the league's fastest and one of the greatest returners we have ever seen. 4 punt returns, 4 touchdowns, and 3 kickoff returns, 4 touchdowns. Ted Ginn, also, what we saw with him, with Cam Newton in that Carolina offense, we're going to see some flashes with this team as well. Lastly, to end our wide receiver room, we're going to go with Desmond Howard, Heisman and Super Bowl MVP. Played in Super Bowl 31, and that is when he won that MVP award. He's a one-time Pro Bowler. Also, didn't live up to the greatest hype that he had around him coming off Heisman and coming into the league, but he's not selected here to play wide receiver or to be the number 1 guy. He's here to be a special teamer, to take kickoffs, to take punts. He has a total of 8 total punt returns in his NFL career. Also, had a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown to help Green Bay win that Super Bowl, and hey, that's when he won Super Bowl MVP. Notable players that I left off that list. I will say, shout out Paul Warfield, Hall of Famer. Just played really long ago. I didn't want to add him to the roster just because I don't know how he would correlate in today's game. Also, Chris Chambers, Nate Washington, Lance Moore, some other quote-unquote notable guys that I could have put in the roster. Then we're going to move on to tight ends. Most people should know this guy is from the state of Ohio. Actually born in Westlake, Ohio, I found out. We're going to go with one of the top 3 tight ends of all time. He has the most playoff receptions. He has the most playoff games with 100-plus yards. We're going to go with Travis Kelce. Travis, the fastest tight end to reach 10,000 receiving yards. Travis Kelce, don't really have to explain why I took him. He's an absolute dog. He's going to be our tight end number 1. Tight end number 2, we're going to go with the guy from Cincinnati. The top 3 is pretty solidified in my opinion. We're going to go with another Minnesota Viking, Kyle Rudolph, 2-time Pro Bowler, and a total of 50 touchdowns in his NFL career. Kyle Rudolph, as a number 2, is going to look pretty damn scary. Then at number 3, we're really not going to need another guy to be a receiver threat. We're going to need another guy to block. This guy could do a little bit of both. We're going to go with Brent Selleck from Cincinnati, Ohio. He had 398 receptions, 4,999 yards, and 31 touchdowns, all with the Eagles. Brent, don't worry about getting open. Just need to block on this team. So we're only going to roll with 3 tight ends on the offensive side. Now we're going to move to the offensive line. Who's going to be protecting Big Ben? We're going to go with Orlando Pace from Sandusky, Ohio, the Hall of Fame left tackle, and one of the most dominating tackles in NFL history. 7-time Pro Bowler and 3-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro as well. Orlando Pace, if you don't know who he is, please watch some documentaries. You'll learn about it. To back up Orlando at the left tackle position, I'm just going to go with the guy that is current. He's recent. I've seen what he's able to do. He's been a key factor for the Lions offensive line. We're going to go Taylor Decker from Vandelay, Ohio. If I butchered where that was from, I'm sorry. But 1-time Pro Bowler. He's also got 2 receiving touchdowns. Might see a couple extra plays for him. Then we're going to move on to left guard. And at left guard, we have another Hall of Famer, 11-time Pro Bowler. From Cleveland, Ohio, we're going to go Tom Mack. Every year he's been in the league, he has made the Pro Bowl besides 2. Talk about a dominant NFL career. And to back him up at the left guard position, we're going to go Jim Richer from Hinckley. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler and a left guard who started 11 straight seasons for the Buffalo Bills. Give me Jim to back up Tom Mack. At the center position, we're going to go with a guy that his brother's already on the team. But this guy born in Cleveland Heights, so a little different. What some say might be the greatest center of all time. Jason Kelce. 6-time first-team All-Pro and a 7-time Pro Bowler. Jason Kelce is going to be the man in the middle for that offensive line. And I will say, the backup center, just as good in my opinion. We're going to go with a guy born in Centerville, Ohio, Nick Mangold. He's just right with Kelce. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler and a 2-time first-team All-Pro. Sadly, Nick was on the Jets, so Nick didn't get as much love as he might have if he was on the Eagles team that Jason was on. Then we'll move on to the right guard position. We're going to go with a guy. I got 2 guys here. You guys let me know who you would start over one or the other. I went with a guy who was just a little more versatile, had a little more accolades. I'm going to go from Centerville, Ohio, Joe Tooney. Known to play multiple positions on the offensive line, Joe would have no issue playing the right guard position for the squad. 3-time Pro Bowler and a 2-time first-team All-Pro. He's going to fit in at the right guard position, I trust. He'll be perfectly fine. And to back him up, we're going to go with a guy that is from Bedford, Ohio, and he's known more as a left guard, but we can swing him to the right. He played multiple spots as well. We're going to go Roger Saffold, and he moved around his offensive line throughout his career, and he would still fit perfectly at the right guard position. Also, a 2-time Pro Bowler. Moving on to the right tackle, we got another Hall of Famer, a guy that is known as one of the most aggressive linemen to ever play the game, Bob Brown, 5-time first-team All-Pro. Made the Pro Bowl or All-Pro, first or second team every year of his career, 10 years, besides his last year in the NFL. Talk about a dominant player. Bob Brown was the definition of that. To back up Bob Brown, or just the tackle position in general, we're going to go with Dan Deerdorf from Canton, Ohio, the ultimate backup for this squad. He's a Hall of Famer that played guard, tackle, and center throughout his entire NFL career. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, and a 3-time second-team All-Pro. Dan is going to be the man. Now, when making the defense, it's always hard, in my opinion, on what type of defense I want to run. Where do most of our skill lie in the state of Ohio? And it lies in the linebacker position. So I'm going to run a 3-4. So we're going to have 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. And we're going to start off with our right defensive end. From Cleves, Ohio. Don't know where it's at. Apologize. We're going to go Dana Stubblefield. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler and a 1997 Defensive Player of the Year, and was one of the most dominant defensive tackles in the late 1990s. And I will say, 3 front, there's a lot of players that can be swapped out at different positions. To back him up, we're going to go with a guy from Dayton, Ohio. We're going to go Marco Coleman, a 1-time Pro Bowler that had a long career, 65.5 sacks and over 500 tackles throughout his time in the NFL. A solid backup for this position, to where, hey, he might be quote-unquote the worst in this defensive 3 front where we have 6 total players. And that's not a bad player to have as the sixth best defensive lineman. Then we're going to go to defensive tackle, known as the greatest player that's a non-QB to come out of the state of Ohio, from Canton, Ohio. We're going to go with a guy that's a Hall of Famer in the main part of the Purple People Eaters, Alan Page. The 1971 MVP and an 8 total All-Pro teams throughout his NFL career. Also, he's a D tackle. He had 148.5 sacks in his NFL career. That's enough said. He's starting at the D tackle position. And to back him up, we got a guy that he might bring the vibes to. We got a guy from Cleveland, Ohio. A guy that might have been an actor a little bit. Do you guys remember Mike Rogers by Saved by the Bell? And if you do, you might know who this is. We got Bob Golick backing up Alan Page. He'll be in the rotation on this front. He is a versatile player that has made 3 Pro Bowls. And hey, if you want to give some acting lessons, you can do that too. Then we're going to move on to another defensive end position, our left D end. We're going to go with a guy from Mansfield, Ohio. We're going to go with a Philadelphia Eagle. We're going to go with a guy named Hugh Douglas, 1-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, 80 total sacks, and was a key player for that Eagles defense in the early 2000s. To back him up, we're going to go with a guy from Xena, Ohio, if that's how you pronounce it. We're going to go with Trent Cole, another mainly Eagles defensive end. 2 Pro Bowls for him, 90.5 sacks, and a solid starter throughout his whole career. And that defensive front, just right there, that part of the defensive front is going to be nasty. But not as nasty as our linebacking core. And let's get right to it. Starting at our will or our outside linebacker, we're going to go with a guy from Akron, Ohio. A guy that wasn't drafted, a guy that didn't go to a combine, but a guy that should be a Hall of Famer. We're going to go the Kent State legend, James Harrison, 2-time All-Pro and a 5-time Pro Bowler, and also a big reason why they won a Super Bowl, a 2008 Defensive Player of the Year. James Harrison is going to start for this All-Ohio team. How many James Harrisons would it take to take on a gorilla or to beat a gorilla? Just 2. You just need the extra guy to record. Then, just for you guys, I'm going to roll down the starting linebacker position. So we're going to start with our first will. We got the will out of the way. We got James Harrison. Then we're going to go to our interior or inside linebackers here. And starting first, I just have labeled here first, I guess, in the graphic, we're going to go a guy from Cleveland, Ohio, London Fletcher. One of the most consistent linebackers to ever play the game and has only received 4 Pro Bowls. And he's only received those from ages 34 to 37. He also has 2,039 total tackles in his NFL career. London Fletcher was a dog. Now, to start at this other inside linebacker position, and some of you guys might, this guy's going to be the leader of our defense, without a doubt. Some say he's the smartest linebacker to ever play the game. He won the Defensive Player of the Year in his sophomore year in 2013. We're going to go Luke Kuechly. And some say, and I say, he retired right in his prime. Luke Kuechly, one of the smartest linebackers, and he's going to be the leader of this defense. Now, to play the Sam linebacker or the other outside linebacker for us, I'm going to go with a guy from Warren, Ohio. And this guy, 3-time Pro Bowler. And it was really him or this backup for the other outside linebacker position that I'll say right after him. I'm going to go Tom Jackson. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, and I gave the slight edge to him over the backup on the other side behind James Harrison, Darryl Talley from Cleveland, Ohio. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he has a total of 1,190 solo tackles from the Buffalo Bills. It was really between those two. There's really not much I can go off of. I didn't watch him as much, so I kind of had to go off stats and style of play from the highlights that I saw. I'm going Tom Jackson over Darryl Talley, but you guys let me know. And that final backup for that will linebacker position, I'm going to go with a guy from Ghana, Ohio. Gahana? I don't know. We're going to go Jonathan Cooper. He's currently in the NFL playing in his 5th year for the Denver Broncos. Cooper has been a great linebacker for that historically great defense over there in Denver, and he's going to be linebacker number 3 at that will position. Probably lower on the depth chart between other players on this linebacking unit. Then I'm going to move back to this interior or inside linebacker. Now, all these backups could damn well be starters and it was hard for me to rank. From Kettering, Ohio, I'm going to go with a guy that is an all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, A.J. Hawk. And I'll be honest, A.J. should have more than 1 Pro Bowl in his NFL career if it wasn't for Patrick Willis and Lance Briggs playing in that same conference over there in the NFC. A.J. Hawk, definitely one of the most underappreciated linebackers in NFL history from casuals. Nominated for the Hall of Fame this year. We'll see if he gets in. But A.J. is going to be one of the backups for us. Then another backup that could start over London Fletcher. I think you guys are going to hate me for not starting this guy over London Fletcher. From Manaway, Ohio, Jack Lambert. He's a Hall of Famer. Pittsburgh Steelers. You guys should know who he is. Played late. That is why I didn't put him as the starter. He might take over for Fletcher. Let's be real. But maybe I'm just being a little biased. I don't want too many Steelers to start. I lean Fletcher just because he is a more recent player. Understands the more recent NFL. Jack Lambert, if we plugged and played him in today, would he still be the same guy? We don't know. But he has to make the team without a doubt. I wouldn't be mad if you guys put him over London Fletcher. Not over Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly is a better linebacker than Jack Lambert. I will say that right off the bat. Prime for prime. Then we got a guy, Chris Spielman from Canton, Ohio. You guys should know who he is. He's on the NFL Network or other NFL Network somewhere. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first-team All-Pro, and in 1994, he was 5 tackles shy of 200 tackles. 195 total tackles. That is insane. Then we're going to go with the last inside linebacker. We got a lot of linebackers on this team. Hey, we need people to play special teams, and these guys are going to be on those special team units and absolutely laying the wood to the other players. We got a guy from Warren, Ohio. We got Randy Gradishar. If that's how you say your name, I apologize if I got it wrong. But another Hall of Famer and a 1978 Defensive Player of the Year. Randy, out of all these inside linebackers, is going to play. There's just too many to choose from. He's going to get his time. Definitely deserve to be on the roster. And the final backup of the outside linebacker position, we're going to go with the Sam from Akron, Ohio. We're going to go with a guy that is a 3-time Super Bowl champ. We're going to go with a guy that has won Coach of the Year, knows what it takes to win. We're going to go with Mike Vrabel, the perfect backup for this group, and even can catch a couple of touchdowns. He caught 10 in his career. If our tight ends get banged up, he's right there. So he's a perfect backup, perfect guy to be in that linebacker room. Then we're going to move to cornerback. Now, with this graphic, I didn't do it correctly, so we're going to go with cornerback number 2. We're going to go with Aqib Talib from Cleveland, Ohio. 5-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first-team All-Pro, and a Super Bowl champ. Aqib's prime mainly was with Denver from 2014 to 2017, but I will say, just make sure you're not wearing a chain around Aqib. Then we'll move on to our true number 1 corner, a guy that Ohio might not be happy with in general, because this man chose to choose Michigan over the Ohio State. We got Charles Woodson starting at our number 1 corner, the Hall of Famer, 2009 Defensive Player of the Year, and one of the greatest corners to ever play the game. I don't need to sell this one. Then we're going to move to our nickel cornerback here. Don't have room on the graphic here to show you the true nickel spot, but Macedonia, Ohio, we're going to go Denzel Ward. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, and I believe that he's snubbed from multiple All-Pros. The only downside to Ward is that he has a little bit of the injury bug, and he has yet to play an entire NFL season without missing a game. But Denzel for us is going to be our nickel, and I think he's going to be the best fit for this position. And he's just one of the best man-to-man corners in the league since he entered in 2018. Now, these next 3 backups, it doesn't really matter what specific order you go, but these are going to be our backups. First, we're going to go with a legend, if you know, Antoine Winfield Sr. from Akron, Ohio. A 3-time Pro Bowler, entered the league in 1999, my birth year, and didn't get his first Pro Bowl until 2008 to 2010. That's his 3 in a row that he got. He's another great corner for his time and would be a great backup for us. The next backup, we're going to go to Cleveland, Ohio, where Marshawn Lattimore was born. A 4-time Pro Bowler and had a stint of being one of the best corners in the league in his early career from about 2017 to 2021. Marshawn, another great man-to-man corner. He's going to start or be in the rotation of that corner list. And lastly, there might have been better corner fits in general, especially playing against wide receivers of today's league. But you can't tell the story or the history of football without saying this guy's name. Dick LeBeau from London, Ohio. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler as a player for the Detroit Lions, and he's the perfect glue guy for this corner locker room. It's always going to help to have a player that became a coach. So Dick LeBeau is going to finish off this corner DB room, and we're going to move on now to the safeties. First, we're going to start off with the strong safety position here. We're going to go with a guy from Warren, Ohio, Joey Browner. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, and has forced the most fumbles in Vikings franchise history. He's also ranked 16th all-time with the most tackles by a DB in NFL history. Right behind, another Vikings legend, Harrison Smith. To back up Joey, we're going to go with a guy that I really wanted on the team, just for one specific reason, and he wasn't a bad player. Still not a bad player. We're going to go with a guy from Columbus, Ohio, and his son, Antoine Winfield Jr. He's a 1-time All-Pro and a 1-time Pro Bowler. He was an important piece to that Tampa Bay Super Bowl win when he played, and let's be real, I had to add Antoine to the roster to pair him with his father just by adding more chemistry to the team. I just had to do it. I had to put father and son together, build chemistry with the team, great vibes. Then we're going to move on to free safety. Now, this is where I went pretty old because, I don't know, this guy, I guess, was really good. I'm taking off history and Google here. From Toledo, Ohio, we're going to go Rick Volk from the Baltimore Colts. Yes, that long ago, the Baltimore Colts. 3-time Pro Bowler and a 1-time All-Pro, and a total of 38 interceptions in his 12-year career. an absolute game changer for the Colts. When he got the ball, he was making plays on the defensive side. So we'll see how his game looks like in today's league. And, if it doesn't pan out, if he doesn't look like he fits the part because he played so long ago, you know who we're putting in? We're putting in a backup here. And a guy that is from Cleveland, Ohio, has a pretty cool nickname. We're going to go with Dante Whitner, 2-time Pro Bowler, and known as Dante Hittner. Defenders were absolutely scared of this bald bastard. Now, originally, he played most of his career playing strong safety, played a little bit of free safety as well, but Dante was too good, and my Browns bias might be put in a little bit, but he's going to be the backup to the free safety position, and imagine him on special teams. You're going to be afraid. Now, moving on to special teams, I'm only going to do kicker and punter here. Now, for our kicker, we're going to go a guy from Mayfield Heights. We're going to go with a guy that's still somehow in the league, still playing this long. We're going to go Matt Prater. Pretty damn good kicker. He's going to get the job done. Not much to say about Matt, that he's just a pretty damn good kicker. Then for punter, we're going to go with about the same guy. This guy from Cincinnati, Ohio, and played for the Cincinnati Bengals his whole career. We're going to go Kevin Huber to be our punter. Now, this is the entire roster. Bam, depth chart right in front of you. Shout out, you don't see Matt Prater or Kevin Huber, but they're on the team as well. I want you guys to let me know, what players did I miss? What players do you think deserve to be starting over others? Now, this video took a really long time just to figure out the entire roster. So if there's some players I missed, you let me know. If there's some players I snubbed, you let me know. If there's some players you don't think should even be on the team, you let me know. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. If you made it all the way this through, please give a like. Please comment. I appreciate it a lot. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to put these videos out. And hopefully you guys enjoy the effort I put into them. Thank you guys. And until next time, hopefully my GM worked. Suit worked a little. Suit, dress shirt, whatever. Peace out.